On this platform, I've been pretty vulnerable with you guys, to anyone who's been watching. The last two videos I posted were just reactions after I recorded myself after doing therapy for the first two sessions. Really amazing to watch those videos again. So much has happened since then. Yeah, I've been pretty open and I have not always been that way. This is not an overnight thing. This is years of telling myself that I wasn't social and then learning how to become social and meeting people. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. This video isn't about that. I want to talk about getting help today and how therapy is, it doesn't mean that you're broken or just there's still these stigmas. It's getting better, but there's still stigmas around therapy. Like a lot of us still think that going to a therapist means that there's something terribly wrong with you or that you're broken somehow, but that just isn't true. You can just go to a therapist and talk to them, reflect on life events, and just see if anything comes up. That's it. It's just a conversation. The big thing I want to get across in this is that sometimes you need someone that has absolutely nothing to do with your life to help you see yourself as you are. Sometimes you need a mirror. As someone who has grown up hyper independent and pretty introverted, I can now confidently say that we all need each other to some degree. For example, I grew up in a culture where you always have to respect your elders, no matter what. I had a particular older relative that was really rude and disrespectful to me for pretty much my entire childhood. And no one ever said anything. No one stood up for me. No one said that wasn't right for what they said or did. The only thing I knew was that if I had spoken up or defended myself, that I would be the one that was in trouble. It wasn't until like my mid-20s that I kept running into this similar problem of older people and not knowing how to set boundaries with them. And it wasn't until people around me were basically looking at me like there was something wrong with me, like my response was so desensitized. I was just so numb and I thought that was normal. Like people looked at me with my lack of response like there's something wrong with this woman. And I will say, if someone is being rude to you or not treating you right, no matter what their age, say something. Say something or walk away from the situation. Do not just stand there and take it. And that was a super hard lesson for me because that deals with like many layers of personal trauma. But I would have remained that way if it wasn't for my peers. If it wasn't for people from the outside reflecting back to me what I was doing, I would never really have known. Like I would have maybe felt it in my body, but I wouldn't have been able to examine what I was doing. And who knows, maybe I would have continued this outdated tradition of respecting every elder person that I came across, no matter how they were towards me. I've only consciously and intentionally have been asking for help and seeking outside help since I turned 30 years old. And kind of shockingly enough, the first person that I felt like I had spoken to, not realizing that I was seeking them, was a tarot reader. And she had read my life pretty accurately. I was in a relationship that I actually didn't want to be in. I was in a situation that was putting me in a pretty bad spot mentally, spiritually. It was making me confront a lot of things, but I felt like my back was against the wall and that I couldn't get out of it. And it wasn't until I spoke with her that I felt like I could actually admit to someone. I could admit that how I really felt, because I couldn't confess that to anyone else in my life, even my friends. If I couldn't even confess it, if I couldn't say it to myself, how could I say it to anyone else in my life? But as someone that has nothing, has no skin in the game, has no way to benefit personally from knowing this knowledge, like, it was very freeing. When I spoke with her, I could finally let out the truth, and after that I couldn't unsee it. And I've worked with her and another spiritual teacher, I would call her. And I also jumped into this world of, I don't know how to call it, I guess like the journey into, I've been on this journey into the self and delving into my own spirituality. And with all these tools, the outside resources, as well as my own research, but with these tools, I learned how to meditate. I learned how to do breathing exercises. I dedicated to journaling and practicing mindfulness. I've read a ton of books on wellness and psychology and a lot of other things that people would consider woo-woo, but have helped me see the absolute magic of life. And the person I work with now on a pretty, I guess the most regular basis, is my lovely therapist. I have tried online therapy before too, but I really didn't like it, and so a few years later I decided that I wanted to see a therapist, but in person. My therapist is amazing. She is able to pick out behaviors and patterns at a rapid speed that patterns that I haven't been able to recognize or identify on my own. She is a wizard, a legend, and I love her. And having this kind of support it's priceless. It's priceless to me. And of course, I still have the support of my friends, my family, my partner, my cat, and of course myself. But there are some things that are too heavy, I feel, and I don't want to put the weight of that on my loved ones. And so talking to my therapist, it gives me the empowerment, the agency to look within, use my own tools, but also have her with me, and together we can work together to regain focus or to zoom out and kind of pinpoint, what's going on. She is able to help me like untangle the webs and help me see clearly again at times. And then I get to bring the best of myself to all my relationships and my work. If you want it, if you need it, if you are able to get it, I highly recommend getting outside help.